Stephen Sondheim, America's most revered living writer of musical theater, weaves together stories taken from the fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm in his Tony Award-winning favorite, Into the Woods. Here to talk about this wonderful show opening April 18th at Williams Theater are director Craig Humphrey and music director Mindy Cox, two of my favorite people in the musical theater. I just had to get that in because it's true.
Thank you.
You two as a team are terrific.
Thank you.
I think so.
You've done a lot of work together.
We have a number of shows.
How many? 10, maybe at least, because you've
7 or 8, I think.
yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
in
It
there.
takes that kind of past history to sort of work together as efficiently as you guys do.
We do work really well together.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasant experience, and Mindy and I really think along the same lines when it comes to putting a show together.
Right.
Which makes it easy.
Yes.
Right. Plus, you have a musical ear, which is important as a director. I, on the other hand, when I direct with Mindy, rely completely on Mindy for all things musical, because all I ever say is, faster, Mindy. I want it faster.
Right.
This is true.
That's true, yes. Craig, you do what at IPFW?
I am currently I'm the interim chair of the Department of Theater. I'm also associate professor in costume design, in musical theater, a little bit of everything.
Right.
Right.
And you've been there how long?
This is the end of my 23rd year.
Wow. And you've directed for the last 10 years? Or
Oh,
before that?
more like 15 to 18.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay. You've sort of grown into a real love for directing.
It really is the aspect of what I do that interests me the most now. I still love the other things that I do, but directing has really become that which I enjoy more than the others. So.
I think it's one of your strengths as a director.
Well, thank you.
You know, when directors come from the collaborative nature, if you started out as an actor, as I did, then you were a designer, costume designer, and now you're a director. I think that makes you a very strong director, and that's evidenced in your work.
Well, thank you. I think it certainly helps when you have those other perspectives, that you have a connection with the other areas that are easily tapped into.
Right, right. And Mindy, what do you do at IPFW?
I am the music director for the musicals. And I have been fortunate enough to be involved in this for about the last 8 years.
So, but you have a studio on your own, is that?
I teach private voice lessons, and I do have a private studio as well that I do through the day, but in the evenings I enjoy being able to come to rehearsal and conduct and music direct and teach the music to our young actors. And
right. I don't think people understand that you do all of the music. You do the vocal music as well as the orchestration when the orchestra joins the process at the last week.
Yes, and I have wonderful help from an amazing woman named Holly Knott,
Absolutely.
who is my right-hand man. She's a fabulous accompanist, and she helps me get the orchestra together and keep things moving along smoothly with them once we add that component.
Right.
But until then, you know, right now it's just us and the cast. So.
Right. And when does that, where are you in the rehearsal process?
We open next weekend,
Right, the
so
18th.
we are doing our final polishing before we start adding all the technical elements.
And when
which will
will
be
you,
next week?
Next week. When will you add the orchestra?
Sunday.
Sunday, this coming
okay.
Sunday. We'll have a rehearsal with the orchestra and the cast, and then Monday evening we start doing full runs of the show with the orchestra and all the technical elements.
Not my favorite 3 days in musical theater experience,
Great.
I just have to tell you. It's just not my favorite, but you know, if you're well prepared, it goes fairly smoothly, and Mindy's always great at getting everybody prepared.
Thank you.
Honestly, I actually like tech.
Do you?
Yes.
Well-
A lot of people don't. I find it really exciting. It can be frustrating,
Yeah.
and I've been known to get a little angry at times, but
Right.
I enjoy it, actually.
Well, as a director, it's the last time you get to put your stamp on your
Right,
production.
right.
So we're talking about Into the Woods.
Yes.
I think one of Sondheim's most difficult musicals for a variety of reasons. What are those reasons?
Well, I think that the score is incredibly complex. You can certainly address that more than
Absolutely.
I can.
Very, very challenging rhythmically. It's very wordy. There's a lot of words, and so being able to memorize all of those as well as make them understandable to your audience, because it's very much structured almost like an opera. There's not a lot of just dialogue. Most of it takes place in the songs, so it's incredibly important that we understand every word that's being said. And then musically, it's very complicated as well. Lots of challenging rhythms, lots of meter changes, so it's definitely
Well, it helps.
challenge.
You've studied opera.
I have.
You have a degree in vocal performance.
I do.
So it helps that you come from that point of view then, specifically with this kind of storytelling.
It certainly does make a show like this very fun for me, because it is so, the music is what's telling the whole story, and as a singer, as a musician, that's something that I love and I find very exciting. And I think for me, you know, it makes it even more effective than just the words themselves.
Well, Sondheim, like most of the musical theater from the 1940s on, but he really tells the story in the lyrics. We're not just stopping and singing a pretty song or a love song. You have to listen to the lyrics and understand the lyrics to know where the story goes, and particularly in this play.
And also because the plot is very complicated, taking all of the well-known Grimm's Brothers fairy tale characters and interweaving all of their stories, there are certain points that we have to hit in order for that to be understood. And some of those come in lyrics, some of those come in dialogue, some of those come in overlapping lyrics, which is part of the other challenge, is there's a lot of overlapping singing in this show. So yeah, finding that focus, and at the same time, the show is wonderfully funny and then terribly moving.
And dark.
And dark. Act 2 gets pretty dark. And I'm not shying away from that. I think that the darkness is there for a very distinct reason, and I'm embracing the dark,
Right,
as you will.
I don't want anyone in our audience to think they're coming to children's theater.
No, not at all.
They're not coming to children. This is not for your 7-year-old. Is that correct?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
We want to
Well,
get that out there.
Mindy's 8-year-old, perhaps.
Well,
but
he's
not average.
special.
Yes.
He's been in part of the musical theater for a while.
Right.
Right.
But no, it's the show is often thought of, because of the fairy tale nature, as being a kid-centric show. It really isn't. Act 1 ends happily ever after, as we expect it to. But then Act 2 is the characters having to pay for what they got in Act 1.
Oh, right.
It's all about sacrifice, and Act 2 gets very dark.
How large is the cast?
Cast of 17, playing 21 roles, something like that.
So it's a big ensemble piece.
It is
They're
very much an ensemble
Yes.
piece.
Aren't principal players?
There are a few roles that stand out in that they're a little larger, but I really think of it as an ensemble piece.
I agree. Every character is critical and important to
Yes.
making the whole thing work.
Right.
Are you doing any of the design elements?
Not this time
You're
around.
not.
I have 2 of our faculty members, the 2 Marks, Mark Ridgway and Mark Delancey, are doing lights and scenery, respectively. And then I have a graduate, an alum, Jessica Sokolowski, who is doing the costume design for the show.
Which is a challenge.
It is a challenge.
The design elements of this particular production are paramount to the success
Yes.
of this particular show, yes?
Yes.
Both the scenic design and the costume
design and
Right.
lights and sound as well,
Right,
yes.
right.
And actually, I made an error. We had a change in design. Corey Lee, another graduate, is now taking over as the lighting designer because of some shifts in responsibilities that needed to happen.
Right, so we're
We
creating
have two-
successful graduates,
we
apparently,
have 2,
who are willing
yes,
to hire.
Two of our alums.
That's always a good
yes,
sign.
Yes.
Yeah. What are the dates again? April 18th?
We
and
open April
contact information?
18th, and you can always call 260-481-6555, which is the IPFW box office, and or the Department of Theater, for more information.
All right, let's move on to your next season, which is sort of a big event. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Next season, well, IPFW is celebrating its 50th year. And so the theater department is next year doing a season devoted to 5 decades of theater at IPFW. The theater department's been at IPFW since the very beginning.
Day one.
Producing a season of plays since the fall of 1964. And so next season we have put together a season where we're doing one show representative of each decade of that 50 years. So we're opening with the musical The Fantastics, which happens to be the only show, the most produced show at IPFW. This will be the 4th production of it. That's followed by Tennessee Williams' Glass Menagerie, great
Beautiful script.
classic of
Beautiful
American
play.
theater.
Yeah.
And then we are going to reproduce the first show ever produced at IPFW that you will be directing.
I will be directing.
And that is Molière's The Imaginary Invalid,
right.
In November. And then in the spring, we will be doing a play from the 80s called Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, Jimmy Dean. And then closing with another Stephen Sondheim musical, Merrily We Roll Along.
2 musicals in the season.
Yes.
Why?
Partially because, in great part, because we have in the past 3 or 4 years, we have instituted as part of our department offerings, we now have an emphasis in musical theater. And we have a number of students enrolled in that program. And because it's an anniversary year and to provide more opportunities for those students, we're beginning with a very small musical and ending with a fairly large musical.
Wow. Because you've got students who are needing to have stage time in
Yes.
order to get that musical theater emphasis.
Exactly,
Right.
yes.
Will
yes.
you be working on both musicals?
I will. Definitely looking forward
Bookending,
to
beginning
both
of
of
the
those.
season
Yes.
and end of the
Yes.
season.
Yes,
Well,
it's going to be a lot of fun.
good for you, and sounds like a great season.
I'm excited
Happy
about
to
it.
participate.
We're happy to have you.
Good
Claire.
luck.
Yes.
I'll bet.
Yes.
Good luck with Into the Woods. I can't
Thank
wait.
you.
The work you two do is always stellar, and I really look forward
Thank
to
you.
it.
That's very nice to hear. Thank you.
I'm John O'Connell, Dean of the IPFW College of Visual Performing Arts. On the next Arts Weekly, we'll learn about the April 21st Community Orchestra Concert at IPFW from Sam Savage and David Cook. Then Hope Wallace from the Wassenberg Arts Center in Van Wert, Ohio, would join me to share details about their spring schedule. For up-to-the-minute arts updates, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And be sure to join us here live Thursday evenings at 7:30 on PBS 39. Thanks for watching Arts Weekly.
The preceding program on PBS 39 was made possible in part by
Excellence lives here in northeastern Indiana. It's reflected in more than 200 nationally recognized degrees. It drives our Division I sports. It's alive in our campus life. Excellence has a name, IPFW. Around our campus, around the country, around the world. Excellence lives here. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, 2 great names.
For nearly 60 years, Arts United has worked to bring the rich, diverse talents of our region together through support of the arts, socially, culturally, and economically. Arts United, providing a home for the arts in Northeast Indiana.